Dr. Leslie Vinjamuri, Director, U.S. and Americas Program at Chatham House, joins us now to discuss the implications of the passing of Justice Ginsburg and what we may see unfold from here. Great to have you with us, Dr. Vinjamuri. So the stakes here are huge. The implications of a new justice being appointed will span many, many generations, a huge number of issues coming across the Supreme Court in the near future. What can Democrats actually do to stop the Republicans from moving forward with a nomination before the November election?
Well, first let me say that the loss of Ruth Bader Ginsburg has been extraordinary. She was iconic and made there's really no other justice in recent history that's made the kind of contribution that she's made to the constitutional promise of equal protection under the law. So it's an incredibly important appointment. If you look at the polling, there's been very little polling so far. This is very recent news. The majority of Americans don't want to see a new justice appointed before we know who the next president of the United States will be. But the fact of the matter is that the Democrats have really very little control over this. They don't control the Senate. President Trump has made it very clear that he intends to nominate very soon two possible candidates, both likely to be women, conservative women. And at the moment, he has the numbers to really push that through. I mean, I think the very interesting thing here is that, of course, it changes the narrative. It changes a lot of what people are going to be watching in this election. The election so far has been really focused on the president's mismanagement and handling of the pandemic, both the public health implications and the economic impact. And this, of course, puts the Supreme Court right back in front of that electoral agenda.
Supreme Court plays a critical role in some of the issues that are closest to American hearts, abortion being one, of course, healthcare being another. If I think back to 2018, we were here discussing the implications around Brett Kavanaugh's nomination ahead of the 2018 midterms. President Trump's nomination of Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court effectively galvanized Democratic voters. What are the chances that we see that happen if we do see President Trump move ahead with this nomination? What could the impact be on the Democrats and the voting constituency?
Yeah, I think that's exactly the right question. This is going to further drive turnout both on the Democratic side, probably very much amongst President Trump's base, his evangelical base, a more conservative part of his base, which has had this concern for the appointment of Supreme Court justices that are not pro-choice, that are not pro-abortion rights. And so it really it energizes both sides of the aisle. The Democrats, I think, will frame this very much as an issue of health care. There's a real risk of the Supreme Court rolling back the Affordable Care Act. And so in a moment where the pandemic is hitting America so hard, where there's not an effective plan for managing it, where we have nearly 200,000 Americans who have died, the Democrats will, of course, really push hard on the grave importance of securing health care for all Americans. There are 23 million Americans who stand to lose if the Affordable Care Act is knocked back. So I think there's a lot at stake, and it will mobilize both sides of the aisle. It will certainly mobilize the Democrats. I think there is a concern with what happens to the independent voters, those who are looking to decide, who aren't favorable towards President Trump in his management of the pandemic, but who may well lean conservative when it comes to questions of culture, of women's rights. And so this could actually have an impact. There is a question about what the timing is, right? Whether President Trump is able to push through a new justice before the election, whether this happens during the time after the election. But in that murky period when we're unlikely to actually have a decision on who the next president is, this could still be in play.